What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Forecast. Apologies for the delay. Just had obviously a lot going on. Obviously heading to the US in a few days, 5 months. So I'm still busy sorting everything with that out. But I hope we're all doing well ahead of the preliminary league final matchups weekend, round 22. I can't believe it's only 2 weeks to go. It's gone so quick. So only 4 trades left. So obviously big decisions in regards to who you're going to bring in. Obviously, we've got to be probably focusing more now on matchups and who people have got, potential tags, instead of looking at who the top scorers have been for the season. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do that. There should just be an icon in the bottom right-hand corner to subscribe. So just it takes 2 seconds. It's easy. It helps the channel out as well, heading towards 1,000 subscribers. So thank you for support. Also, click the like button on the video if you are enjoying the video and the content on the channel. So let's get stuck in everything. So there's obviously 2 news things I want to talk about first before we get into the game previews. Obviously, the big one from last night was Patrick CRIPPS. So he got off of his 2-game suspension. So I was trading him out all week. Obviously, as everyone was as well, and he was able to get off. So we don't have to trade him out. I wouldn't be trading him out. He's got Melbourne and Collingwood in his next 2 games. So you'd be holding him. And I'm just updating the title of the video. Here we go. I'll just do that instead. I just thought I'd add the CRIPPS bit into the title. But yeah, so CRIPPS is off. So yeah, I would definitely not be trading him. Then you've also got Mitch Duncan was the other big one. So he has been rested. So I predicted this probably about a month ago. I said that Duncan will get rested at some point. Geelong always do this. And Gold Coast, the game just before the end of the season made sense. So I think that he was the one that was always going to get rested. So people with him, forced trade. Braydon Preuss as well is the other one that obviously injured again. So if you've got him, you've got to move him on. So at least if you've got CRIPPS, Duncan and Preuss, at least you don't have to deal with the CRIPPS thing now. At least it's just the other 2. So I know there would have been a few coaches out there that would have had all of those guys out there. So what do we got? Okay, beautiful. So also, if you're watching live, make sure you leave any questions in the live chat, and I'll get to them once we've looked at all the games and gone through them. And then also, if you're watching on the replay, put your questions or any just any general comments in the comment section underneath the video, and I'll answer those after the video. So obviously a few hours after this goes live, obviously the games will be on. So let's get started. Let's get stuck into all of the upcoming round 22. We'll talk about obviously the players in each game. We'll say potential tags and stuff like that and stuff to look out for. So let's look at what's happening. So St Kilda Brisbane is the game that's on tonight. So Jack Steele, I think he's going to go big. I think that I could see him going big. Obviously, Brisbane do give up points, and it is at Marvel Stadium. So I think Steele could be in for a big one. I'd actually like him as a V, because a lot of people are going to go Laird VC into a Mills, Oliver, Merritt, someone like that later in the round. But I don't mind that play of going a Jack Steele VC tonight into Rory Laird tomorrow, or even a Mills or Oliver tomorrow. I don't mind that. So that's definitely something you can consider, because I think he will score quite well. Jack Sinclair, I don't see any attention coming for him, so I expect him to score back over 100 tonight, which would be good, because obviously it's been a bit of a lean run, obviously copping some attention from opposition teams, obviously because he's such a good player. So yeah, I expect him to be scoring well tonight. Who else have we got from St Kilda? Brad Crouch is that was a bit loud then. Brad Crouch, a really good differential, really nice pod. So he's expensive, 891k, so 1k less than Oliver, but yeah, there you go, 891. Only 4.1% of people own him, but in his last 6 weeks, he's gone 111, 106, 82 against the Bulldogs. We know Bulldogs are restrictive. 147, 128, 123. So he's just getting it done. So I know that Brisbane, St Kilda aren't like the easiest matchups there, but he's tackling. And so almost these hard matchups are going to be better for him, because he's getting those tackles to get to a good score. So I really like him as a differential if you need to win your league matchups in your finals. So I like him. Ryan Marshall, if you don't have him, obviously Tom Campbell's not named again. So hopefully just 2 more weeks of not naming him. I think Marshall will be doing great as a solo. They don't need Tom Campbell on the side. So yeah, Marshall is probably going to be a top scoring ruckman for the last couple of weeks. So if you don't have him, I'd be getting on. I know he's expensive now, but I'd still be paying up for him. And then moving on to Brisbane, so Lachie Neale. So Lachie Neale, I would imagine, is going to get the tag. obviously Winhager and Mitch Owens have been going to people. So Mitch Owens normally goes to a defender and then Winhager goes to a midfielder. I think it's locked on that Neil's going to get the tag this week. That's why I'm trading him. And that's why I've recommended. Even people have asked me, would you trade Mitchell or Neil? And I'd say I'd probably trade Neil first because at least Mitchell's not going to get a tag. I know Mitchell's role was poor at the moment, but I'd be at least banking on maybe Mitchell can hit a ceiling potentially, whereas I don't see Neil going over 110, 120. That'd be probably his ceiling. That was if he was able to get off the tag. So, yeah, I'd be moving him on if you can. And you've got plenty of good options in the midfield, which we'll talk about in other games as well. Anyone else in Brisbane? I think maybe Kenny Coleman could cop some. Him or Rich will cop probably the Mitch Owens tag. Could be Rich, so maybe Coleman gets off the chain tonight and actually scores quite well. I personally would probably take Coleman. I think he's a better player, but hopefully if people have got Coleman out there, he doesn't. So obviously St Kilda get points defenders at Marvel Stadium tonight. Should be a good game for whoever doesn't get the tag back in defence for Brisbane. So hopefully it's not Coleman and hopefully it is Rich because I know not really anyone owns Rich, whereas a few people do on Coleman. So there you go. So, yeah, the only real captain or VC, if you've actually got Brad Crouch, I actually don't mind giving Brad Crouch a VC shout here because he's had 3 scores over 123 in the last 3 games. So I actually like that as a play. If you bring him as a pod, why not chuck the VC on him and going into a Laird or a Mills or Oliver or something like that later in the round. So I actually like that play. But, yeah, Jack Steele is probably my pick out of there. I think he could go quite big tonight. I actually think that St Kilda could win this game. I think they need to win the game. So there's every chance that St Kilda could pull something out. Obviously, they're only 2 points behind Richmond in the race to the finals. They're only a game behind Carlton as well and percentage. So let's see what happens. But yeah, I think St Kilda, that could be that's my sneaky pick for the week. I need to win tips. I need to win some rounds because you get paid money in the league I'm in for winning a round and I'm near the bottom. So yeah, not great for tipping. So we're not going to dwell on that too much. Moving on to Western Bulldogs and GWS. So I think this will be a pretty high-scoring fantasy game. Obviously, last time we saw this game at Giants Stadium was high-scoring, so I expect that to be the same again. So another game at Marvel Stadium, so back-to-back. So Tim English, so Steph Martin's come into the side. Obviously today, Luke Berridge has come out with comments saying that Steph Martin's earned his spot and playing really well, and we had to bring him in so he can play 50-50 with English. I'm still not sure if that's the case because I still think with Preuss out, there's every chance that Steph Martin could be a late out. Like you've got guys like Riley Garcia, Josh Shackey, Alex Keith, and Rourke Smith. I could see Alex Keith coming into the side, then flicking Zane Cordy forward and as that backup ruck, and then playing Keith in defence. That could happen. So I would be aware of that. But if you can hold your trust off till tomorrow, if Steph Martin is still named in the side with Tim English, I would not be touching Tim English this week. I just don't think that ceiling will be there. I think he'll still score all right because he's obviously just up against Briggs, but I wouldn't be looking at him as a target this week if he's sharing the ruck with Steph Martin. Jack McRae been really disappointing this year, obviously averaging under 105. I can't remember the last time he averaged under 110, but here we are. Just not good enough. Like there's so many, like he's playing a lot on a wing. He's obviously doing his sulking thing, obviously the head tilt, as we've talked about previously. He had 7 scores in his first 13 games of over 110, and since round 14, which was his last big score, which was actually fun enough against the Giants with a 148, he's got 97, 93, 87, 108, 101, 72, and 101. So high score of 108, only 300s, and all of them are really low. So yeah, not great. He's obviously just hasn't had just a great year and just hasn't been that uber premium. So a lot of people at the start of the year that said, I'm not starting with Steele, Took, Mitchell or McRae were right because all 4 of them aren't really any. Well, Jack Steele obviously was injured, come back, he looked good. Took's there as well, but all 4 of them have dropped down in price and haven't performed to what they did last year. So, but yeah, McRae definitely been the most disappointing out of. Him and Mitchell have probably been the 2 most disappointing. Mitchell's probably got an excuse because he's not been playing this position, whereas McRae has been playing this position and also playing on a wing, but he's just not getting it done. Bailey Smith, I like him. Just be where he could cop Perryman attention. If I would GOS, I'd probably tag Libber because I think Libber's the engine in there, and you can't tag Bont because if you tag Bont, he'll just go forward. McRae, I wouldn't even worry about tagging anyway, but Bailey Smith could cop attention maybe from Lockie Ash and maybe Libber cops the Perryman tag. So just watch out for that. But I think Bailey Smith doesn't. I think he'll score pretty well. Marvel Stadium against Giants, I think a big score could be coming. But I'd still be targeting him anyway. He's got Hawthorn next week, which is a good match up there. Who else we got? talked about McRae. Dunkley looked good last week, so he's come back to a little bit of form the last couple of weeks with a couple of hundreds, which has been nice. Obviously, he had a couple of scores on there, but he's still been really good. So last three, 102, 119, 109. But yeah, he had the 2 scores under 100 there. He's only gone 4 times under 100 all year, so he's been fantastic. If he keeps forward status next year, he's going to be one of our first picked in our squads, regardless of how expensive he is, just because we know what we're getting from him. So I expect him to put up another good score against the Giants this weekend. Bont, I think he'll go well again. I just don't see him getting any. They'll try and give him attention, but he'll go forward. He'll kick goals. He'll still score well, and I still like him. Maybe not as an option. Maybe I prefer other people like Parker and guys like that over him this week. Marshall, another one, but I still think Bont will score well if you've got him. Treloar, not bad. Another pick as well. The injury risk is a little concern, but only 2 weeks to go. I don't think the injury concern is got to be massive now. So, I don't mind Treloar as a bit of a sort of unique pick next. A lot of people did jump off. In terms of the Giants, so Himmelberg, I'm in 2 minds with Himmelberg because obviously Bulldogs, great matchup for defenders. We see look at Luke Ryan last week with a 151. Jordan Clark got a 111. I think Brendan Cox took like 9 or 10 marks as well. Heath Chapman took like 9 or 10 marks. They all took a lot of marks back there. But with Preuss out, Briggs is a solo ruck. Does that mean Himmelberg's going to be resting forward and back up ruck? That's the worry. On the team sheet, Himmelberg's forward, Lockie Keefe's back. I sort of anticipate that Lockie Keefe will be pushed back into the forward line and Himmelberg will be into defence, and Keefe will play rest forward, but also back up Briggs. That's what I think personally they'll do. They've done that before. I know they've done Himmelberg before, but they tried Himmelberg forward against Sydney. It didn't work. They moved him back into defence. So hopefully he is in defence, because if he is, I think a big score could be coming here. So yeah, I don't mind Himmelberg, but there is risk attached if you're looking at him. Lockie Whitfield is underpriced. Looked probably the best he has all season last week with a, 119, I think he scored. So Bulldogs, great matchup for wingers / defenders. So I don't mind him as an underpriced option there. Let me just check. I just want to double check what he did get last week. Yeah, 112. So, but yeah, looked really good last week. The best he has all year. So not a bad option there if you're looking for a cheap defender. Stephen Coniglio, obviously a few people jumped off him. I don't mind him, but then again, Bulldogs and Freo, the next 2 tough matchups for midfielders. But if you've already got your Marshall, you've already got Dunkley, Bailey Smith, who else is there? Luke Parker. Once you've probably got those 4, you could probably start looking at Coniglio, because I know like Bont is there, but like you got an 80 last week. But then again, I'll probably say maybe you get Bont. You probably get Bont over Coniglio with the Hawthorn matchup. But after that, if you've got those 5, then probably Coniglio's the guy that you look at there. So I don't mind Coniglio there. And that's probably it from that game. So a lot of players there, but I wouldn't be VCing anyone from this game or captaining anyone. The only potential smoky shout you could do is if you see that Himmelberg's starting in defence. Himmelberg could be a shout for a VC, because we've seen the Bulldogs give up plenty of points to defenders. So if he's starting in defence, Himmelberg could be big. But then again, there is that risk with Preuss out that maybe he doesn't play in defence. So I probably wouldn't do it. But if you want to go different and do a pod pick, then you could. That's if you don't have Laird, because if you got Laird, there's only 25-minute difference between the 2 games. So I probably wouldn't do that. Moving on to Adelaide and North Melbourne. So I'm hoping it doesn't rain, because then I'll go to the game. But if it's raining, I probably won't, because it'll be too cold. So what do we got? Jordan Dawson should be in for a big one here. North Melbourne do give up points to defenders. So, they give up points to everyone. But I think Dawson's in for a big game here. Obviously, if it's raining, maybe ceiling's not going to be there again. But I do like him to go big. Rory Laird, 9 straight scores, 120. That's pretty much what you got to say. He's the safest captain option going around. I'm probably going to VC him this week because he's got that ceiling. But yeah, I expect him to go big once again. North Melbourne, good match. I think he got 140 against North Melbourne last time he played them. So yeah, I expect a big score coming from Rory Laird here. Riley O'Brien. I don't mind Riley O'Brien as an option in the ruck. So he's got North Melbourne this week. He's got Port Adelaide next week. So it'll either be Teakle or Finlayson and Dixon. So great matchup for Rob. I don't mind bringing him in as a bit of difference. So if you want to put like a Marshall into, I would rather Riley O'Brien over Tim English this week. That's what I would rather. Like I know people are probably going to go, why would you rather Tim English over Rob? But Tim English sharing the ruck, unless that changes before the first bounce tomorrow, I'd rather Rob, because Rob's got 2 easy matchups, whereas English, Hawthorn give up points, but then again, he's sharing with Steph Martin, so I wouldn't trust it. Whereas Rob, you know what you're getting from him. So I don't mind him as a bit of a pod play in the ruck. So you can definitely look at him. Ben Keys, I'd be trading out, obviously playing this forward role. He could still play midfield this week, but I'd still get rid of him. I'd probably get rid of him before Neil, I'd probably say, because he scored 45 last week. That's just not good enough. So, yeah, I'd be moving him on. And then in terms of North Melbourne, Jaden Stevenson. So people have talked about Jaden Stevenson as an option. I know that he's been playing in defence, but I'm just got a feeling he played that poor last week, turning the ball over, that I could see them moving him back on to a wing or back up forward, because he's got 112, 114 his last two, but he turned the ball over really bad last week. I think he's probably going to lose the kicking duties, that's for sure, because he had 9 and Aaron Hall had 6 last week. So, but yeah, I don't mind him as an option. He's been named at half forward, so I don't know if that's if he's been named at half forward previous weeks. But that could be something there. Let me actually have a look on North Melbourne's team sheet from last week. Did they name Stevenson up forward, or did they name... No, they named Stevenson in defence last week. So that's interesting. Maybe he is playing up forward this week. I wouldn't be surprised. People probably said he probably could have been dropped after the way he played last week, but I think he'll probably move forward. And then even the week before, he was named forward. So he sort of get named everywhere. So let's just see what happens with that, if he gets named forward or not. But what's he priced at? Because I know he is obviously quite cheap. Let's have a look. Stevenson is 626. So he's I thought he was a bit cheaper than that. But yeah, 626. So you could look at that if you want, but I'd prefer Zorko. And I think Zorko's cheaper. So I'd prefer Zorko over him. I'd probably almost prefer Butters, who's about 30k cheaper than him. I'd probably like a couple other options as well. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be doing that, but it's an option there for you if you want to consider that. Who else we got here? LDU. I like LDU as a player as well. He's a fantastic player. I think he's going to be really good, especially if they get like a Clarkson as a coach. I could see LDU doing really well. But what he's averaged since round 9, he's averaged 102. For the year, he's averaged 91, so obviously could be quite a good option next year and be underpriced. But I don't mind him. Got the Crows, and then he's got Gold Coast next week, so 2 really good matchups. So I like him as a bit of a pod pick. Aaron Hall. So I've got my eyes on him this week. I'm looking at bringing him in because he's underpriced. Obviously, he had those injuries. Adelaide and Gold Coast is next to, and Gold Coast at Marvel, 2 really good matchups there. I think even in the wet, we did see Dacos still have 40 touches and still score really well. I know Dacos is fantastic, but I think Aaron Hall can still put up a good score, even if it is meant to be raining a little bit or not. So I like him. He's under 700k. I don't mind a play if you go like someone down to Hall and then you have enough money to go someone up. So that's what I'm potentially looking at doing this week. So I do like Hall this week. Obviously, the injury risk is there. It's always there, but yeah, I don't mind that play at all. I really like that play. Sorry. Josh Simpkin, very similar to LDU, 2 good matchups. He's obviously had 3 scores over 119 his last 4. He's another option you could consider. Ben Cunnington, fantastic to see him back. Obviously, we had Doc in round 1 come back. Now we've got Cunnington back. Really good. If you really don't care about, if you're out of your finals and you just want to bring in players you want to watch, why not bring Ben Cunnington in? I would have done it if I wasn't trying to push for top 1,000 and sort of numbers and have my ego. And I would almost do something like that because, yeah, he's fantastic story for him to be back. So really looking forward to seeing how he goes in his first game back for North. And yep, that's it from that game. So obviously, Laird is obviously your VC or your captain here. Dawson, I don't mind if you don't have Laird. You can put him as a VC. I don't mind that option as well. Hull could be big. I just worry with the weather. A little bit with Dawson as well. So I'm thinking about it now. I probably wouldn't even do Dawson just with the weather, but both could be big. Him and Hull. If it was dry weather, I would consider both as VCs. But I think with the weather expected to be a little bit wet, I probably wouldn't worry about it. I'm actually just checking up the weather for tomorrow. So it says it's meant to be 14 degrees and it's got raining here, but it's not as heavy as today. So I know it's been raining here a lot in Adelaide today. So I'm just having a look at, I like looking at the hourly one because then you know sort of if it's raining across the game. So yeah, it's meant to be raining. It's 76%, 71%. It's all your 70% raining. So yeah, it's going to be raining. tomorrow at the game. So it's obviously good for Laird with his tackles and stuff, but it's meant to be light rain. So maybe not a heap of rain, but it's pretty much going to rain. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking at Dawson or Aaron Holt as any VC options there. Thanks for your questions coming as well, by the way, in the live chat. I'll get to those once we finish previewing the games, but thanks for putting them in. If you are watching live as well, make sure that you put your questions in the live chat. As I said, we'll get to them once we've previewed all the games. Also, make sure if you are enjoying the video, make sure that you click the like button. Very much appreciated with that. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already on our road to 1,000 subscribers. So that'd be very much appreciated there. The Twilight game, Gold Coast and Geelong at Metricon Stadium. So for Gold Coast, it's pretty much Toot Miller, and that's probably it. So Toot Miller, I wouldn't be surprised if he cops some attention from Blitzarves. Obviously, Blitzarves back into the team, so I wouldn't be surprised if he cops some attention there. So I wouldn't be looking at him as an option this week as a trade take, and I wouldn't be VCing or captaining him. But hopefully for his owners, he can put up a good score regardless. Elijah Hollands was fantastic last week, 118. So if you've got him on your bench, make sure you've got the emergency on him to see how he goes, because you never know, you might be able to take his score again if he ends up having another big score. So definitely look at that. I know a few people talk about Brandon Ellis as a bit of a pod pick in defence. Maybe not this week I'd be looking at it. Maybe next week when they've got North Melbourne. But yeah, this week I wouldn't against Geelong. Geelong can be very restrictive with opposition players. Jared Witts as well, got good matchups, Geelong and then North Melbourne. So it could be a bit of a pod pick in the ruck as well. Not my favourite pick, but a few people have talked about Witts as well. I know Jake from Hat Chatter is a fan of Witts over the last 2 weeks. Then moving to Geelong, you've got, who have we got? Because not obviously a huge amount of options for Geelong, but obviously Tom Stewart, poor last week with a 46. I would not be trading him out. He's got Gold Coast and West Coast, his next two. No Mitch Duncan, probably going to be more marks there for him. So I expect Stewart to bounce back, and I expect him to bounce in a big way. A 120 plus here could be coming. I think he could cop some attention from like a Nick Holman. Could be a bit of wait, is Nick Holman even playing? No, Holman's not playing. I thought he was. No, Nick Holman's injured, so that was good for Stewart. So I don't really see anything coming. You've got Ainsworth, Chol, Rankin, Swallow. Maybe Swallow plays a defensive forward role on him, but Swallow's been playing midfield, so I don't think so. I think Stewart will be fine. So he's a bit of another smoky pick for a VC option this week. So definitely look at Stewart there. I definitely wouldn't be trading him out. Cam Guthrie, a bit of a smoky pick as well for the last 2 weeks. So he's got Gold Coast and West Coast in his next two. I don't like the low game time, but he's not. I don't see him getting rested next week. I don't see, like, they're going to be playing. They're going to get a bye the week after anyway. So yeah, I don't mind Guthrie as a bit of a pod pick in the midfield. I think he's about your mid 800s there. So let's have a look. Cam Guthrie is. No, he's actually 796. So it's actually cheaper than that. So yeah, I don't mind him. I just don't like the low game time. But yeah, with 2 good games, could be not a bad option there. As I said, in terms of VC captain options, I wouldn't be touching Took. But Tom Stewart would be a guy that I would be happy to put a VC on if you don't have like a Laird or something like that, because he could be big there. Could be good as well in your matchup as a bit of a different pick as well. So he'd be the one I'd consider in this game. Melbourne Carlton on Saturday night. So for Melbourne, obviously Clayton Oliver, fantastic option. He's one of the guys I'm looking at this week. Actually, thinking of that was what I was going to do. I was going to put a poll in, because obviously I've got a decision on upgrading in midfield this week. So interested to see. I'm interested to see what you guys would do. And it is obviously, as you can probably guess, about Clayton Oliver, because talking about him reminded me to do this. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Interested to see what you guys are on the poll there. So who would you pick out of Callum Mills and Clayton Oliver? That'd be interesting. So we've got 20 people watching. So I expect to see at least 15 votes. So interested to see what happens with the votes, because I'm sort of a bit undecided with the two. But yeah, Clayton Oliver, great option. Well, now we've got 22 watching, so you definitely get voting on the polls I've just put in the live chat. But yeah, Clayton Oliver, Carlton and Brisbane is next two. Obviously, Cripps in is probably makes it a little bit more of an even matchup. But obviously, if Cripps wasn't there, Chera, Walsh, and like a Setterfield or a Dow, I think Clayton Oliver would go huge. I think he will still go big as well. But yeah, I do like Oliver as an option. Christian Petrarca, obviously cheaper. I like him as a bit of an underpriced option as well. Obviously, he's got the ceiling. So if you're looking for a ceiling play, I do like him there. Max Gawn was fantastic last week with 152. Pitney in makes it a little bit more difficult. Obviously, just against De Koning would have been better, but yeah, Gawn's in great form, and I expect him to put up another good score again. Angus Brayshaw, obviously playing midfield now. Obviously, no harms again. So if Angus Brayshaw's playing this midfield role, he's one of the best targets in defence you can look for. So I really do like Angus Brayshaw as an option there. Sutton's been named on a wing. There you go. Tom Spray named at half-back flank. So, and Jordan named on half-back flank. So that's a bit different there. And then moving over to Carlton, obviously Cripps, as we said before, is gotten off. Not obviously Spencer, he's playing the final two games. I wouldn't be trading him out. But Melbourne and Collingwood are two great games. So I expect to put up a good score here against Melbourne. Carlton need a win. They're obviously they were looking at top four a few weeks ago. Obviously, a couple of losses means that they're now really fighting to stay in the finals hunt. So obviously they're only a game ahead of St Kilda, and if St Kilda end up beating Brisbane, then they're level. So if they lose and then St Kilda beat Sydney next week and Carlton lose to Collingwood, then that's going to make it interesting. So Collingwood and Carlton are going to have to put in a big performance, and I expect Cripps to perform well. Sam Doherty, obviously, I think he could be huge. I think he's another good captain option here, or VC option if you haven't used your VC yet in the round up until Saturday night. Melbourne, Collingwood, obviously Melbourne and Collingwood both go up truckloads of points, and both to defenders as well. So I really do like him. He's been really good against Melbourne. I think he's got 300s in his last three against Melbourne, including a 152. I can't remember that one. I know Calvin had that stat. He said that on the podcast last night. So. But yeah, I like him. Adam Chera as an underpriced midfield option at 697. I don't mind him. I think it'll be Cripps, Walsh, and Chera as the main three midfielders. So I do like him with Collingwood and Melbourne in his two. Obviously, the good matchups sort of outweigh maybe his ceiling not being there. But I do like Chera there. Sam Walsh, I actually like Sam Walsh better now, the fact that Cripps has been named, because if Cripps wasn't named, Walsh was it's like your Neil at Brisbane, Andrew Brayshaw at Fremantle, Zach Merritt, Essendon, where it's like he's the obvious tag. So I could have seen like an Angus Brayshaw do a defensive midfield role on him. Maybe not a full-on tag, but just really followed him around. I could have seen something like that. So I'm actually glad Cripps is playing for, if you're looking at Walsh. So I think Walsh should perform better with Cripps in the side. But yeah, that's it from that game. But yeah, as I said, I think Oliver, great captain option this week, or VC option if you haven't used your captain yet. I don't mind Petrarca as a VC with the high ceiling. Sam Doherty, similar as well. Sam Doherty, obviously consistent. I don't mind him. Cripps, I probably wouldn't do because he got a 90 last week. If he got another 110 last week, then I probably would have considered him because there would have been three big scores in a row. But I don't know. But then again, maybe VC option could be interesting because he's going to want to come out and perform really well after getting off from suspension. So, and for Carlton to win the game. So that could be an option that you consider there. Moving on to the other Saturday night game, Fremantle West Coast. So Andrew Brayshaw. So I'm not touching Andrew Brayshaw as a captain pick this week or VC pick. And the reason being is because Jackson Nelson came back into the side. And for me, it's a bit of not really a coincidence that he's come back in the side when they're playing Freo. He tagged Brayshaw last time they played and held him, I think, to under 30 points in the first half. Obviously, end up getting to a 90-something. But Xavier O'Neill's been doing a bit of a defensive midfield role on people as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brayshaw cops a tag here. So just be wary of that. I don't even know if I don't think I'd bring him in either, to be honest, because he's got West Coast this week. So yeah, he might put up an okay score this week. Then he's actually got my camera's just there. Then he's actually got Giants next week, and I expect a Perryman to go to, or Lockie Ash to go to him next week. So I wouldn't be looking at Brayshaw and target. I think Oliver's better. Mills, if you don't have Laird, obviously Laird's there as well. Jack Steele, Tuke Miller, especially for next week as well. I'd rather Tuke anyway, because I think against Geelong he can still put up a decent enough score. But yeah, Brayshaw I just wouldn't touch. But hopefully he can put up a good score this week, so I've got him. So, and I know a lot of people got him. So hopefully he can do well this week. Who else we got from Fred I want to discuss? So Sean Darcy, is there. A few people have obviously looked at trading him. If he's your worst player, I'd look at moving him on, but I'd almost keep him. Especially if you've got Marshall and Gorn and you've got Darcy or Neil, I'd still probably trade Neil, to be honest, because I think Neil will get tagged, whereas at least Darcy could still put up an okay score. So I'd probably hold Darcy, but unless he's your worst player in your team, then you can look to move him on. Will Brodie's been obviously fantastic, so it's probably a luxury if you get rid of him. But obviously West Coast, good matchup for him. He's not going to get any attention, so he could put up a big score here. And then he's obviously got Giants next week, who he got on 120 earlier on this year. So yeah, could be good in the last 2 weeks for Will Brodie. Luke Ryan and Hayden Young could both be big in this game, especially the fact they've got West Coast this week and then they've got Giants next week. So I don't mind either of them. Luke Ryan's probably a pick. He's got the higher ceiling, so could put up a good one here. Actually, what did both of them score earlier in the year when they played? That'd be interesting. It was round 3. So Ryan got 77 and Young... Did Young not play? Because I don't see Young here at all. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't play that game. But yeah. Actually, I reckon he was out from... Oh, no, he got a 58. I don't know why I didn't see him there. 58, so yeah, not great. But yeah, so I'd prefer Luke Ryan out of the two, but I don't mind either with a good matchup here. That's probably it for Freo. And then West Coast. There's not really anyone from West Coast I'd really look at moving for. Maybe Shannon Hearn is a bit of a pod in defence. He's looked good his last few weeks. So what's his scoring been like? I don't know what he scored last week. So he got a 106 last week. So his last 5, 119, 109, 72, 101, 106. So you could look at someone like Shannon Hearn as a bit of a pod pick. 765k. I don't mind him. That could be something there. He's got Freo, who do give up points to defenders. And then they've got Geelong and Geelong. So the Geelong and Geelong would probably put me off of picking him as a pod, because if you pick him this week, you're probably looking at him like told him for the rest of the year. But yeah, with that Geelong game, I probably wouldn't look at that. That's probably it. That's probably all I'd look at from that game. But yeah, VC captain options, not really anyone I'd look at. As I said, I'm not a fan of Brayshaw this week. I know that he's number 4 on Calvin's captains, and I always trust Calvin with everything he does. But unfortunately, with the Brayshaw thing, I'm not a huge fan this week. I think there are better options for your captains this week than Andrew Brayshaw. But hopefully he can put up a good score anyway. And hopefully if people do put him VC or captain, he can put up a good score for you. Moving on to Sunday. So Richmond and Hawthorn. So I'm just having a look at the final teams here. So Edwards comes in, Castagna and Ross are out, both been dropped. Liam Shields comes in for Hawthorn. Sam Butler has been dropped and Connor McDonald's been managed. So there you go. That's those teams there for that game. So in terms of options, I fully expect Jaden Short, regardless if he plays in the midfield or forward or in defence, I think he will be copying the Finn McGuinness tag. So if you can jump off of Jaden Short this week, he would be one of my top priorities to jump off. I think he will get tagged. He's Richmond's most dangerous player. I think Finn McGuinness will go to him, so I'd be moving off of him. And then in terms of other Richmond players, there's not really anyone. Obviously, Richmond have never been a high-scoring fantasy team, so there's not really anyone I consider here. If you want to be different in the ruck, could you go Nank with no Soldo in the side as a solo ruck for the last fortnight? You could, especially if you've got Preuss and you need money to go like Neil up. I don't mind going Preuss down to Nank and then going, if you've got money, and then going Neil up to someone like a Walsh if you don't have a lot of money, or even like an Oliver or something. I don't mind that. So I don't mind Nank potentially as an option there. Who have Richmond got in the last week, actually? That'd be interesting. So Richmond have got Essendon. So yeah, I don't mind Draper. Sorry, not Draper. He's got Draper next week. So I don't mind Nank as a bit of an option there, especially as if you need to go like one down, one up. In terms of that's probably it from Richmond. And then in terms of Hawthorn, Mitchell, I'd be moving Mitchell. I know Richmond you can score on. Richmond can be restrictive on their day as well. Richmond playing a lot of low-scoring fantasy games, but Mitchell, I know he's known on the ball. He's always known on the ball, but unfortunately, Sam Mitchell's not playing him where he should be. And unfortunately, it's not his fault that he's not an option. I really hope he moves this year this off season, because if he does, he's going to be one of the most selected players next year, averaging under 100 at a new club where he's actually going to be playing the midfield. But we'll have to see with that. But yeah, if you can move Mitchell, I'd be moving him on. That's what I'm doing this week with Mitchell. Sicily, Richmond, I expect him to play on a tall forward. Obviously, they've got Rewalt, Cumberland, Lynch up forward there. You've got your Ben Miller has been playing forward lately as well, or Bolter, whoever plays forward out of the two. I think Sicily will have a bit of a defensive role this week, so maybe his ceiling won't be there, but I probably wouldn't trade him out now because he's got Bulldogs next week, so I'd probably be holding him for that reason. So probably wouldn't be moving Sicily on there. And that's it. So, yeah, in terms of captain or VC options, again, similar to the last game, no one from this game I'd be looking at. I definitely wouldn't be looking at Jaden Short, as I think he'll cop the McGuinness tag. So, because McGuinness has been tagging every week. So, yeah, you can pretty much lock it in that Short's going to get tagged. He could tag Prestia, but I just think Short's a more damaging player. So, and at least McGuinness can follow him around everywhere, whereas Presti's a midfielder. Sorry, whereas Presti's a mid... No, hang on. No, that didn't make sense. No, but I think McGuinness will follow him because Short goes everywhere, whereas McGuinness plays midfield. They'll probably just put like a Newcombe on him or something. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing there. Sydney and Collingwood. So, what are the final teams here? So, Ben Ronk is out as a Medi sub and Trent Bianca is out as a Medi sub. So, no changes here. Sydney, obviously, Sydney players are prime targets this week. So, Callum Mills, obviously, is a big target. I'll look at that poll once I've gone through his other two games. So if you haven't voted on the poll, who would you rather, Callum Mills or Clayton Oliver this week? So make sure you go and vote on that poll in the live chat. But yeah, Callum Mills, Collingwood this week, fantastic captain option. I think he'll be big. And yeah, I think he's a good target this week. Jake Lloyd, very similar. I don't mind him as a target in defence. Could be big. St Kilda, I think I expect actually Blakey to get the tag next week. I think Blakey will get tagged. So people thing is, I don't know why I'm holding this. It's just like a thing that you wrap the cord and you probably, if people wondering what that was. But yeah, Jake Lloyd, I don't mind him. He's been good lately as well. Only 87 last week, but he's gone 106, 121, 80, 106, 87 in his last five. So Collingwood, St Kilda, two good matchups at 766. Again, he's a bit of a pod pick in defence, so I don't hate that idea of him. Luke Parker, one of the best forward options this week. He's been fantastic of late. Another 115 last week. I was very happy to bring him in last week for that score. It was good last week to bring in two guys that scoring over 115 in Marshall and Parker. So Parker in his last six has gone 100, 103, 97, 114, 118, 115. And I expect that to continue. Could even go 120 plus this week. Could even get his high score, which his high score is 123. So he could even get over that this week. So I expect Parker to put in a big one this weekend. Chad Warner could be also another guy that puts up a big score. I wouldn't be looking at bringing him in. I think there are options around that price, but if you've got him, I think he'll be good. And even like a Blakey, if you've got him as a more of draft with him, but could also put up a solid score against Collingwood. Then moving to Collingwood, Nick Dacos, you can lock in that he'll get tagged by Ryan Clark. So if you can move off him this week, I would be moving off him. He's been fantastic, but yeah, just that tag coming, I would not be hesitating in moving him on. DeGoey's been a guy that people have looked at. If you had an easier matchup, I'd probably talk about him more, but I think Sydney's a tough matchup in Sydney, so I wouldn't be looking at him as a target this week if you can help it. Jack Crisp. So I'm hoping that Crisp's last half last week is a bit of a sign of things to come over the last 2 weeks. He's been quite poor over the last month and a bit, but he had a 46-point last quarter. I think he scored 70 points in the second half. So hopefully that's a sign of things come. Obviously 9-9 last week. Hopefully he can put up a good score this week. So I could see him scoring well against Sydney. I don't know why. I just see Sydney as a good matchup for Crisp. I don't know why. Probably just a gut feel, but I wouldn't be moving Crisp on, to be honest. I think I'd be definitely be moving on Short. I'll be moving on Dacos over him. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing with Crisp. I'll be holding him. Darcy Cameron, you could probably hold him now with Grundy out for the next 2 weeks, but if you've got the chance to get rid of him, with Mason Cox obviously still there, I'd be still moving Darcy Cameron on if you can get, especially if you get to a Marshall or a Parker in your forward line or something like that. I'd be doing that. So, but if he's not, I'd probably get rid of Neil before Darcy Cameron, because at least with Darcy Cameron, you can put him in your forward line. You go Neil up to big mid. So I'd probably be, if someone said to me Cameron or Neil at first, I'd probably go Neil, to be honest. And yeah, and then you got Josh Carmichael on the bench as well. So could be a bit of an emergency play. Like you could bench someone in your forward line, see how they go, and if they score poor, you play Carmichael. It's a bit of a different play because obviously people have got these players on the bench like your Hollands and that, and a Carmichael who's got a ceiling. I wouldn't be playing Carmichael on your field, but if you've got someone not playing in the last game or two and you can emergency loophole Carmichael somehow, then you can. But I think it's probably a bit hard. Is that really? Headphones are gone flat. So, and I don't know why when the headphones go flat, I can't actually hear and you can't hear me. I just don't know why that happens. But anyway, stupid headphones. I should have charged them before I came on. But yeah. So I wouldn't be doing anything with Carmichael. But then again, it could be something you can look at if you've got an Essendon or Port player that's not playing. But in terms of captain or VC options in this game, obviously Callum Mills is one of the top ones here. I don't mind Luke Parker as a bit of a different captain as well, probably because he's going to be safe. So if you're just wanting a safe 1-10 score or more, I think Parker could be an option there, especially if you don't have Callum Mills. I don't mind Parker as a backup captain option if your VC fails on you. So yeah, they're probably the two that I'd look at there. But yeah, Dacos, as I said before, I'd be moving off of him with that tag coming. So the final game, Essendon and Port Adelaide. So what are the teams like here? So you got Nick Bryan, Jai Caldwell, Tom Cutler, Zach Reid and Dylan Shield come in. Harrison Jones has been dropped. Wait, these haven't been updated. Why have these not been updated? I don't know why these haven't been updated. I'll just close down the app because they're not the final teams because it's got more people there. So let's have a look. No, stupid app. Stop stuffing up, man. Okay, here we go. So Nick Bryan, Jai Caldwell, Dylan Shield come into the side. So Ben Hobbs has been dropped. Harry Jones has been dropped. Will Snelling's out injured and James Stewart's out injured. And then for Port Adelaide, Mitch Georgiades and Todd Marshall come in. Robbie Gray's been managed. Trent McKenzie's been dropped. And Bryn Teagle's been dropped. That one stumbles me because Bryn Teagle looked really good last week. And Port are out of finals. I don't really know why he'd be dropping your young up-and-coming ruckman. But teams do make some weird decisions sometimes. So we'll move on from that. So in terms of options from this game, Zach Merritt was poor last week on your 55. Obviously, caught the Perryman tag. I probably wouldn't look at him as an option. He's too expensive, and you can get better options for cheaper, like your Oliver, Mills, guys like that, or even cheaper than that, like your Walsh and guys like that. So I wouldn't be looking at Merritt this week. If you've got him, hopefully he can put up a good score. He's got a good record against Port Adelaide, so hopefully he can put up a good score. Darcy Parish is a pod that I don't mind this week. Obviously, has been injured, come back. They did say that he came back probably a little bit too early, but he's got 119 against Port Adelaide early in the year and 146 against Richmond, who he plays next week. So I don't mind him at 790k. I won't be getting him now. He was in my team with CRIPPS out. I was going CRIPPS to Parish and then going Neil up to Oliver with 0k left. But obviously with CRIPPS in the team now and not suspend, I don't need to get rid of CRIPPS. So it means I can't get Parish as well as one of those other midfielders. So but I don't mind him as a bit of a play there. Probably not many other Essendon players here. D'Ambrosio has been named as well. So if you've got him on your bench, then that's good. At least you got some cover there if you didn't have any cover and you're relying on him. Over to Port, Zach Butters, don't mind him as a bit of an underpriced guy in the midfield. You could look at him. Dan Houston has got 2 good games to come against Essendon and Adelaide, so could put up a few good scores. So he could be a bit of a pod option. Not my favourite, but just sort of suggesting him there if people want to go down that path at 667k if you can't get like a Hall or something or a Whitfield. So he's cheap and could put up some good scores for you over the last 2 weeks. So Connor Rosie, obviously I wouldn't be bringing him in, but he's a candidate to trade out because he was injured last week. So I'm not sold on him putting up a good score this week. He could rest forward a little bit more after being injured. Could even be a late out. And obviously that's going to be terrible, obviously, in the last game. So I'd have a plan just up your sleeve, maybe in case, because you never know. Something could happen. I think Rosie will be okay, but that is just that flag there that something could be an issue late there. And not really anyone else from Port there. In terms of captain VC options, maybe Merritt, but that would be sort of, if you're doing if you want to go Mills VC and he fails and you can go into Merritt, that'd be like a last ditch captain, but no one really here that I personally fancy as a captain option in that game. So they're the games. That's the preview done. I'm just double checking to see if there was any last minute news or anything like that that I missed before we get into your questions. Let's have a look. No, it doesn't look like I missed any news, which is good. So obviously, Warren just put that up as well. So obviously, Will Kelly was a really popular downgrade option for people. Obviously, him not playing and not being named, obviously reverse those trades because he's obviously not going to be there. You might as well just get a 190k player that's not playing and save that 1k because you never know. You could fall 1k short next week of your ideal trade. So, yeah, that's what I'll be doing there. All right, so no news. So let's get into your questions. Let's have a look actually how that poll has been going. As I suspected, 17 votes, 47% say Callum Mills, and 53% say Clayton Oliver. So really close. If you haven't voted, vote on the poll. Who would you be picking, Clayton Oliver or Callum Mills? So I'm a little bit undecided on who I'd be picking this week, but it'd be one of those two, that's for sure. I'll be going nil up. So, all right, let's get any questions. If you're watching live, put your question in live chat, and I'll answer those now in the last sort of 15, 20 minutes that we'll go for. Also, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm just going to have a look how many likes we've got on the video. I normally like doing this. So we've got 6 likes on the video. We've got 19 watching on YouTube. So if you haven't, so there's 13 people that haven't liked it yet. So make sure you head over to the like button and press the like button. Helps the channel out, helps the algorithm out and stuff, and gets the video out to more people. But all help on the channel, as I always say, is always very, very much appreciated. And I thank you guys all for all the support. So the first question, David Clark says, Cameron to Parker, need a few bucks for that. And what second trade? Rookie downgrade for cash or crisp to Zorko? I would probably just do the rookie downgrade. I don't think that Chris Zorko is really going to do much. If you had like a Jaden Short or Nick Dacos and you go them down to Zorko, I'd definitely tick that off. Chris Zorko, at least Crisp, you know he's going to play the next 2 weeks. Zorko, you just never know. I love Cameron Parker. I'd be ticking that off every day of the week, but I'd probably just do a rookie downgrade. Like, if you've got covering every line that are going to play next 2 weeks, you can just bring in a 190k guy that's not playing. It's that time of year now where we don't really need everyone on our bench playing. So, yeah, I'd be doing the rookie downgrade personally, David, there. Jacob Holz says, Crisp, Preuss, and Duncan. Oh, no. Oh, no, Cripps, Preuss, and Duncan. Sorry. At least Cripps is playing. So, I don't know, Jacob, if you've seen that news, but yeah, Cripps is got off. So, you've only got Preuss and Duncan. So, that's good. So, you've only got the 2 now to do. At least you don't have to play a rookie. Moonboy, hey legends. Moonboy, mate, hope you're doing well. Help with my second trade. Crisp to Stewart or Sicily to Hall. Or McRae to Walsh or Miller to Oliver. Well, I wouldn't be doing Miller to Oliver with the North matchup next week. Plus, Miller to Tuke's not a guy I'd be trading out. I don't mind McRae to Walsh, but I think McRae with Hawthorn next week, Giants this week, I think he could still put up some good scores or at least 100. So I wouldn't be doing that. So it's really Crisp to Stewart or Sicily to Hall. I'd probably go. It's tough. It comes down to, I think, Moonboy, that one where if you're in your league finals and you're trying to win, you probably do Crisp to Stewart because I think Stewart will be the highest scorer out of all 4 players over the remaining 2 games. But I actually really like the Sicily to Hull for this week. For this week, I like Sicily to Hull because Hull against Adelaide, I think he built up a good score. Sicily against Richmond, I don't see Sicily putting up a big score. I know he's got Bulldogs next week, which obviously would be why I'd want to keep him, which is probably why you go Chris to Stewart. But I think Chris looked good in the second half last week, and I think he could put up 2 good scores to finish the year. So, yeah, I'd probably, if you could do Sicily to Stewart somehow, I wouldn't mind that, or a Dacos or Short out. I'll definitely be doing one of those 2. So yeah, it's a tough one there. David Clark, all the weather has me thinking Sicily out Moonboy, but it's the riskier play. Actually, yeah, so what's the weather like at the MCG tomorrow? That's probably a good point, because normally I'd look at all the weather and put it in the weekend forecast article on DT Talk, but with my America trial, just haven't had time to write up the weekend forecast, unfortunately. MCG weather, yeah, it's meant to be raining pretty much for the next week in Melbourne. So, because they're playing Sunday, they're playing the early game Sunday. So, so it says cloudy, some light rain is likely. 81% chance of raining. So yeah, I'd probably go Sicily out. I think you're going to get more points going Sicily the whole this week. So that's probably why I'd be doing that. But Stewart is obviously a fantastic target this week as well. Tim Ashworth asks, what should I do with Duncan and Darcy Cameron? Or should I hold Darcy Cameron? So with Duncan, just move to a forward. If you don't have a Parker, get a Parker. If you don't have Marshall, Dunkley, Bailey Smith, Cornelia, I don't hate as well if you've got those first four names I just said. Oh, the computer just unplugged. So yeah, those guys I don't mind. Darcy Cameron you could hold, but if you can move him on again to another option, I'd be looking at doing that first. But if Darcy Cameron's your worst player, you can definitely move him on, and you've got plenty of options in your ruck line or your forward line that you can move him to. II says trade out Cameron or Keys. I'll probably trade out Ben Keys, to be honest, first. Darcy Cameron, at least he's going to be playing the ruck role, whereas and he could still score well, whereas Ben Keys playing this forward role isn't really great for scoring. So I'd be getting rid of Keys before Cameron, because at least Keys you can also get up to a big midfielder, whereas Cameron, you're probably looking at just your forwards or rucks. So I'd be definitely getting rid of Keys first. Moynier Monkey, thoughts on Neil to DeGoey and D'Ambrosio to Zorko? If D'Ambrosio is on your field, I'd be doing that. But then again, if you've got Hollins, you could play Hollins and Oliver. I'd almost rather Hollins and Oliver or someone like that over DeGoey and Zorko. But if D'Ambrosio is on your bench, I wouldn't obviously worry about it. But yeah, Neil to DeGoey and D'Ambrosio to Zorko, I don't mind. You obviously got some cheap guys around as well, like Cher, if you can afford him. Guys like that are there as well. So I don't mind that, especially if D'Ambrosio on your field just getting that last rookie off. But if not, I wouldn't worry about it. Jacob Hull says O'Brien and Butters or Gawn and DeGoey. Opponent has both Gawn and O'Brien. I'd probably still lean towards Gawn and DeGoey there. I know that I'd rather Butters over DeGoey. If you can get Zorko, Jacob, if you can get Zorko and Gawn instead, I'd definitely be doing that. But if Gawn and DeGoey, I'd almost rather Gawn and Stevenson, to be honest. If you can get Stevenson over DeGoey, I'd probably rather Stevenson, to be honest, thinking more about it. But yeah, Gordon Stevenson or Zorko would be my pick. But yeah, I'd be going Gawn. I think you know what you're going to get with Gawn. So I think O'Brien's a good option if you move Marshall and English in your forward line. You can get O'Brien and Gawn in your ruck. That's the only way I was considering O'Brien. But yeah, I'd be going Gawn and one of Zorko or Stevenson over DeGoey there. Max Matthews, thoughts on Preuss and Keys to Gawn and LDU or Prestia? Prestia has the Hawks and Essendon to end the season. Preuss and Keys to Preuss to Gawn, I love that. Keys to LDU or Prestia. I'd be going LD. I know the Prestia's got good matchups, but there is real injury risk with him. And Richmond aren't a high fantasy scoring team anyway. I'd be definitely going LDU. I think LDU could have 2 110+ scores to finish the year. Adelaide this week, Gold Coast next week at Marvel. I would definitely be going LDU, and I do like those trades. Keys to LDU is a trade that if I did Keys and I could get LDU, I'd be definitely doing that. So, yeah, love those trades, Max. Love them. They're probably my favorite trades for the video so far. Andrew Griffiths, can I throw a bench spot? We'll still have cover. Yeah, you can. There's only 2 weeks left. As long as you've got bench cover in every line bar the ruck, because obviously if you've got Teak or someone, they're just in and out. As well, if you're worried about something, you can always hold your trades till the Sunday. But yeah, it's that time where you can start throwing your bench spots. There's only 2 weeks left, so you probably could have done it last week as well with only 3 weeks left. But yeah, definitely this week you can definitely look at me doing that. Jacob Rivers says, do I go Dacos to Hall or Stewart? So I did see you ask me this one, Jacob, on Twitter, and you asked warning that. What would I go, Hall or Stewart? I think I'd still go Stewart. I think Hall's got 2 really good games, but Stewart, Gold Coast at Metricon, and no Duncan, and Holman not playing, so I don't expect a forward tag coming for Stewart. And then next week he's got West Coast at GMHBA. He could be huge next week, so I'd be going Stewart there out of the 2. But I do like Hall as well. I'm looking at him this week, so I do like both, but I'd be going Stewart there out of the 2. Jared Parnell to Kelly. I wouldn't be getting Kelly now. Obviously, he's not made the team. So, but I'd obviously, as we just said, if you've got cover in every line, I'd just be getting a 190K. As I said, if you get Will Kelly for 191K, and next week you fall 1K short of your ideal trade, you're probably thinking, why do I get Will Kelly, who's probably not going to play anyway? So I'd just be getting a 190k not playing, or try and find someone that's playing if you need cover. But if you don't need cover, just get a non-playing player. And do I get my final rookie off field or get a super premium midfielder? So, Jared, it just depends. You have to let me know. Just depend who would be that pick. If it's a Zorko, I would probably do that. If it's, you've got Stevenson there. You've got Chera, who's under 700k. You've got Hall. You've got, I mentioned Houston with a couple of good games is a bit of a pod pick in defense that you could look at that are cheap. So just depend who your rookie is. If it's a Hollands, I'd almost probably keep Hollands on your field and go someone up to a super premium midfielder and do that. But if it's not Hollands, I'd probably look at getting that rookie off field. But it just depends who you got. So let me know, Jared, who you've got there. We can talk about that there. Mr. The Jet says, thoughts on Nick Dacos to David Swallow? So 102, 131, his last two plays Cats this week, then Roos around 23. I'm probably not a huge fan of bringing in David Swallow. He's been great, as you said, the last two, it's were 131 and 102, but he's priced at, what's he priced at? Like he's 683. I'd rather Brandon Ellis over him, and Brandon Ellis is only 18k more. So if you're looking for a Gold Coast defender, I'd definitely rather Brandon Ellis over him. But there are other defenders I think I'd rather over Swallow. I'd rather, if you can get to Hull, I'd rather Hull. I'd rather Bailey Dale at 695. I know Dale hasn't been setting the world on fire, but I'd rather Dale over Swallow. I'd rather Whitfield if you can get to Whitfield. Cumming as well with Bulldogs and Freeman, I'd probably rather him. And I'd probably also rather a Dan Houston and a Dane Zorko over Swallow. So I'd probably rather those options over Swallow, but I can see definitely why he's a name that's been thrown out a couple of times this week from people because he's been scoring quite well. But yeah, I'll look at someone else. Andrew Griffith says, Parnell to a 190k rookie and then Neil to Oliver or Brayshaw or Rob to Max going to hold Redmond. So I'd be picking Max over Rob, but I wouldn't be moving Rob to Max because I think Rob could put up some good scores in the last 2 weeks. So I wouldn't be doing that. Holding Redmond's a not bad shout as well. With Port and Richmond could put up some, they can be restricted, but I think he'll still put up some decent enough scores. But out of Oliver and Brayshaw, I will be going Oliver. As I said, I'm probably a bit cold on Brayshaw. I've got him in my team as well, so I hope he scores well this week, but I could see him copping attention this week from West Coast like they did in round 3. And also next week against the Giants, I expect a Perryman or a Lockie Ash to go to him. So I'd be going Neil Oliver. I think Oliver's a great pick. He's one of the best picks of the week. That's why in the poll I said Oliver or Mills because I really don't know out of the two. So yeah, I expect Oliver to put up a good score again. And Oliver's just consistent. So yeah, I'd be doing the Parnell, the 190k, Neil to Oliver. Tim Ashworth, I don't have much money to go Cameron to someone else. If you don't have enough money, if you don't have any money to go to someone else, hang on, Tim, you just said you just put in here as well. What pick should I get? So what pick should I get for Duncan and Darcy Cameron? Got Bont, Baz, Parker, Marshall, Gawn. So if you don't have much money, that'd be somewhere, Tim, where I'd consider going. So what's Darcy Cameron's price? That's the interesting part there. So Darcy Cameron is 671. So yeah, he's not expensive, is he? So he's cheap. If there's a way that you can go Darcy Cameron to, if you're looking for a ruck for Darcy Cameron, like a Toby Nankervis, I don't hate. He looked good last week. He's solo ruck at the moment. Hawthorn and Essen, his next two, could put up some good scores there. I don't mind moving to him and then going a Duncan up to, well, if you've already got Bont, Baz, and Parker. Bont, Baz, Parker. If you don't have Dunkley, Tim, I'd be getting Dunkley. Oh, you got Dunkley, Tim. So you got Dunkley, you got Parker, you got Marshall, you got Bailey Smith, and you got Bont. So again, that puts it at the top 5. Probably if you can go Duncan to Dylan Moore, I don't hate the Dylan Moore pick. Who else we got here? Himmelberg, if I knew he's playing in defence, I'd be saying him, but I'm just not 100% sure if he will. A few people talk about Jeremy Cameron, actually. I'd be looking at that next week for Jeremy Cameron, probably not for a fortnight hit. Zorko isn't a bad chat if you can move some players around and bring Zorko in. Or you could, if Darcy Cameron's in your forward line, you could go Darcy Cameron down to a guy like, as I said, it could be a DeGoey or it could be a Stevenson or someone. You could go them down, then you could go Duncan up But yeah, I'd probably go, as you're saying, probably go Nankervis and Dylan Moore or Stephen Cornelio would be my two picks, Tim. So that's what I'll be doing. Also, yeah, David just said there Butters is not a bad shout. Well, Butters also a good shout there, Tim. So you could also, instead of going Nankervis, you go Butters and Dylan Moore or Stephen Cornelio. So I'd be looking at one of those. You could actually, I would go Butters and Cornelio as my preferred option. So Butters and Cornelio, Tim, would be what I'd be doing. I'd be locking those trades in there. Jared says Carmichael and can afford to a 670k player. So okay, so you can go your last rookie under 670k. Who have we got? So under 670. So you've got Dan Houston, as I mentioned before, good matchups. Zach Butters as well. I'd probably rather Butters over Houston because Butters playing midfield. Who else we got here in defence? Oh, sorry, not in defence, just in general. Jaden Stevenson, I don't hate 626. I'd probably rather Butters if you can get Butters. You got Degoe there. I'd rather Butters. Zorko. So Zorko would be my pick, Jared, if you haven't got Zorko. But yeah, if you've already got Zorko, then Butters. But yeah, Zorko would be my pick there. And yeah, I'd probably go Carmichael or whoever up to Zorko. So Tim says, don't emotionally go Cameron, or do I trade Neil, McRae, Duncan? I'd probably actually move Neil on first before Darcy Cameron. I'd probably just hold Darcy Cameron because he's so cheap and you don't have cash in the bank. I'd actually probably go Neil out and Duncan out. So if you can go, if you don't have much cash in the bank, you could go, you could go Duncan down to someone in the forward line. So that could be, you could go Duncan to Himmelberg and pocket yourself nearly 40k, and then you could go Neil up to Sam Walsh. I'd probably do that. If you can go Neil to Sam Walsh and Duncan down to Himmelberg, I'd probably do that. I'd probably do those trades there, Tim. That's what I'd be looking at. If you can't afford that, then you can go down to Butters, go Duncan down to Butters, and then you can then go Neil up to a big dog. You can go, actually, I'd probably do that, actually, thinking about that. I'd probably go almost Neil down to Butters, and then I'd go, Duncan down to Butters and go Neil up to as big as you can get. That could be Mills, could be Oliver, could be someone like that. So that's what I'll be doing, Tim. One of those. It'd be Walsh and Himmelberg, or like an Oliver and Butters. So that's what I'll be doing. David Clark says, if looping Hollands, what would you take from him as the line? I'd probably take 90. If he's in, especially if he's in your forward line. If he's in your midfield, probably then you're saying maybe 100, unless it's your Tom Mitchell, then probably 90 still. But yeah, if he's in your forward lines, I'd be taking 90 plus for me. Points is always better to lock in, because if you could have like a Will Brodie, could get a 70, or he could get a 110. Like, it's not going to cost you much if he goes 110, but you could gain points. So I'd probably say 90 plus for me would be my line for Hollands there. Andrew Chris, I still got crisp and short. Yeah. So Andrew, what was you saying before? So Parnell to 190k, then Neil. If you could Andrew, if you could somehow go short down as Orko and then go Neil up to Oliver, I'd be doing that. I think over Parnell down to 190k. I think you're going to get more points from Zorko this week than Short. I see Short getting tagged and putting a poor score in. So I'd get rid of Short and Neil. So it just depends what combos you can do with that, Andrew, with that. But yeah, I'd be doing that first. Patrick Hall says, already going Duncan to Bailey Smith. Do I get rid of Sean Darcy or Jaden Short? Can get either to Gawn through Marshall DPP. Prelim final matchup has Short, but not Darcy. So lean towards getting rid of Darcy. Well, Patrick, I'd actually get rid of, hang on, you put another comment here. I'll just read that as well. And also thinking about it, can get to a defender or forward from Duncan through DPP. Baz or Stewart? So, Patrick, what I'd be doing there, I'd actually get rid of Short before Darcy. Short, I think, could put in a stinker this week. So if your opponent's got Short, McGuinness is going to go to him. So I'd be getting rid of Short, because even if McGuinness doesn't go to Short, what do we really think Short's going to do? He's not going to get anything over 110, I don't think. He hasn't done that for a while. Playing this mid-forward role, he hasn't got the ceiling. So I'd be getting rid of Short first. And if you're going Duncan to Bailey Smith, and you can go short out. I don't know who you can get, Patrick, but yeah, I'd be going short. You could go short to Hull or short to Whitfield or something like that, and then go. So Bailey Smith or Stewart. I'd probably go Stewart this week. You can look at Bailey Smith next week. I'd probably go Stewart this week. I think Stewart will score more than Bailey Smith this week because I think Bailey Smith, there's a chance he could cop an Ash or Perryman tag. If I was GWS, I'd probably look to put Tom into Bailey Smith. Obviously, his running power probably mean he'll probably still score okay, but yeah, I'd be going Stewart for Bailey Smith, and I'd be going short out, Patrick. That's what I'd be doing there. Andrew Griffiths, Neil went 127 on Saints this year. Are we being silly? I don't think we are because Saints weren't tagging with Windhager when they last played. So, and Saints are going to look at that and think he played really well on us last time. I think he got 120. I think he had 37 disposals in that score with Neil. 127 in round 13 before the bye. Windhager wasn't tagging then. Yeah, 37 disposals. I don't think we're being silly. I think that he will get tagged, and I would be moving him on this week. So, yeah, Andrew, I would be moving Neil on this week. So let's have a look at the poll while we wait for any last-minute questions that people put in. So the poll, 19 votes. Callum Mills, 42%. Clayton Oliver, 58%. Yeah, interesting. So it is still very close, but Callum Mills has got the edge at the moment. I'm only leaning to Mills just because of that Collingwood matchup. So actually, on that note, I'll go through my trades. So my trades for this week, I am going Neil up to Mills at the moment. I am looking at Oliver still, but at the moment I've got Mills. I just think that Collingwood matchup's too juicy this week. Like Mills could go 130. So I'm looking at that at the moment, but Oliver also still in the conversation for me to look at. And who else am I? What's my other trade? Yeah, that's right. I'm going. I'm flicking Crisp into my midfield, and I'm going Tom Mitchell out of Aaron Hall. I just think Aaron Hall got the ceiling for the next 2 weeks. Mitchell, he's probably going to get you 80s and 90s over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I like Aaron Hall against the Crows this week, and then Gold Coast at Marvel could be big over those 2 weeks, and it'll give me money next week where I'm looking at potentially moving 2 big guys on that could cop tags, like a Sinclair, and I can put Chris back in my defence, and like an Andrew Brayshaw would cop tension in going and getting like Tuke Oliver or something like that. That's what I would love to do in an ideal world. But Hall is who I'm looking at this week in defence. I just think, as I said, good matchups coming. Injury risk is a little bit, it's there still, but it's less with only 2 weeks remaining. I think as well, the fact that he played, then was out through COVID, was able to recover, and then play again last week. I'm hoping that he'll be okay for the next 2 weeks. So hopefully he can. But yeah, I'm looking at him this week. Jared says, cheers, Bales. I've just made the trade to Zorko. Is Neil a no-go for VC tonight? Yeah, no. I wouldn't be touching Neil as a VC. If you can move him as well, Jared, I would be trading Neil. But as you said, you're trying to get that last rookie off your field. So that's probably more of a priority because at least your Neil will probably still get to your 70 or something, whereas your rookie, you just don't know. You're probably not even going to get to that maybe. So, yeah, I'd be getting the Zorko and Neil and no-go. But then again, when you think about it, you got Carmichael and then one of the big guys, or Neil and Zorko. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I'll probably still get Zorko. Tim Ashworth, I can't afford Canelio, only got 32k. In that case, I'd probably Dylan Moore's probably your next pick for me. So if you can go Duncan to Dylan Moore and then go Neil to Walsh or something, do that. But as I said, Tim, if you can't afford that, I would be going Duncan down to Butters, and then I'd be going Neil up to like an Oliver or a Mills or someone like that. That's what I'll be doing, Tim, this week. Screech, I've got a massive smoky this week and next if you're are short on funds, guys. Mitch McGovern, thank me later. I'm getting on. Screech, mate. Mitch McGovern. What's Mitch McGovern been doing? I know he's got Melbourne and Carlton, and Melbourne and Collingwood is next to, but that is a very interesting one. 486. Scored 87 last week, 89 the week before. I can see why you're thinking of it. I guess if you're putting him on your bench, if you're going a Saliga or a Hobbs or someone on your bench to him, I could definitely see that. But Screech, mate, I don't know if I'd be doing that on your field straight up. That's very risky. So, but yeah, as I said, if people want back-to-back 80s rollers there, yeah, it is. It's just very risky. As I said, if you're going a rookie on your bench to him, I don't mind that. And you can loophole him in. But yeah, it is risky playing him on your field straight up. But yeah, so there we go. So that's it for the weekend forecast. The weekend report on Sunday will be on Monday. I'm heading to the US on Tuesday for 5 months for my uni semester exchange. Weekend forecast will be on the Monday because I've got a dinner and catch up with people on the Sunday night. So Monday night weekend forecast. So yes, Andrew Griffith's spaces will be tonight. I'll be going on in about maybe half hour or so. So we'll chat round 22 there, get some people on. Andrew, mate, if you want to jump on, mate, feel free as well. Send a request in. If anyone wants to jump on the Twitter space or any questions, head over to Twitter in about 20 minutes or half hour or so, and then we'll get to that. Jared, thanks, Buzz. Good luck for your prelims. Yes, mate, thank you. I've got one prelim against a guy I know as well. So got a good matchup this week. So hopefully I edged him out in the final regular season game. So I'm hoping to edge him out again. But I guess we'll see. It'd be a good matchup in that league, cash league as well. So I'm hoping that cash will be handy for America. So Andrew, because love the content. Good luck. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. But yeah, my captain VC this week, I'll be going Laird VC into Mills or Oliver. Whoever I bring in out of Mills and Oliver will be my captain this week. But Laird, yeah, VC. As I said, Jack Steele VC into Laird, I really like as well. But yeah, I'm probably going Mills or Oliver as my captain, and I'll mention my trades before. So yeah, as I said, thank you for watching the video. If you haven't liked the video yet and you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave smash the like button. It always very much appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so make sure you subscribe. Follow my social media links in the description below. If you want to check out the FPL podcast I did with Jake from Hat Chat last night, if you're doing FPL this year, check that out on the channel. It should be the featured video. So make sure you check that out as well. And yeah, if you want to jump on Twitter Spaces in about 20 minutes or so, head over and we'll chat some more fantasy if you've got any more questions. So we'll do all that on Twitter. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys so on the Sunday weekend report on Monday night, and then weekend forecast. I'll have to just let you just keep tuned to my social media because obviously I'll be in the US time difference. I don't know when I'll be going live, so yeah, just keep an eye on for that. So anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Cheers.